Bum-ba-da-dum. Howdy, y'all. Banjo Ben here, banjobenclark.com. Got a really fun mandolin lesson for you today that's just going to get you picking. You know, I'm not going to use any tab today. I want you to use your eyes and ears and just get you playing and jamming and improvising. We're going to specifically be working on using a pentatonic scale over two different chords that have a lot in common. So it's really great to have kind of one tool that applies to more than one situation. We're going to see how that works today. Specifically, playing the pentatonic scale of a key to apply it to its one chord and the sixth minor. Now you may say, I don't know what that means. Well, you know what it sounds like. For instance, in the key of G, the G chord is your one chord. You can remember that, right? And then its relative minor or sixth minor, you count down 3 frets. So there's a G note, 1, 2, 3, go down a minor third interval, and you land on an E note. So the E minor is the sixth minor or the relative minor of G. Let's try it in another key right quick, the key of C. That would be your 1 if you're in the key of C. And then if you were to count down, 1, 2, what note is that? It's an A. So we hear this all the time, right? Just take a listen. Right? Rings a lot of bells, doesn't it? It's used all the time. And did you know that we can use the same pentatonic scale to play over both those chords? We just might want to aim at some different notes whenever we're playing them. So this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to practice doing it in several keys, and I've written a fake song that changes keys actually, and we will change positions as well and learn how we go. Now, this is a culmination of a big course, actually a couple of them, over on the website, Unlocking the Mandolin Neck, Learning How to Improvise, Intro to the Pentatonic Scale, that I'm going to trust that you've watched at those. If it's been a little while, I'll give you a review. But you Gold Pick members, you've got about a dozen lessons that kind of form a foundation for what we're going to learn today. All right, so go check those out. I'll give you a little review, but if you want to go dig into those, it might do you some good. All right, if you are watching somewhere else besides banjobenclark.com, I'd be honored to have you on board. As a Gold Pick member, you could just go to joinbanjoben.com to see all the benefits. There might even be a coupon code hanging out there, and you can have access to hundreds of lessons on mandolin, banjo, guitar, get discounts in my general store, all kinds of cool stuff. I'd be honored to have you on board. Let's start with a review of the pentatonic scale pattern. I said we're not going to use any tab. I think that's a great thing. We need to stretch our eyes and ears and our brain. And this is not that hard to learn. Let's just start with a closed pentatonic 1-octave scale. Now, first of all, what is the pentatonic scale? The pentatonic scale is the most common scale used all around the world. Every genre of music is going to borrow from this. And when I think about the pentatonic scale, I think about a couple things. One is the simple G run that you hear all the time in bluegrass. You've heard that before, right? And that is the pentatonic scale just turned into a lick. If you think about the Pure Prairie League song, Amy. That is the pentatonic scale that they're dancing around. It just fits right at home in whatever key that you're in. And that's why it's used so much, especially like in rock and stuff. It's just an easy way to begin jamming within a key. What's great is that if we're in a key, say the key of G, then that means the G pentatonic scale is going to work over most any chord that song is going to contain. I mean, there are some exceptions out there, but very few. So if you can get a grasp on jamming over a pentatonic scale, then it really propels you a long way in just starting to improvise, right? Now, the pentatonic scale is 5 notes, hence the word pent, right? Pentatonic. And the notes are the 1, the 2, the 3, and then it skips to the 5, the 6, and the 1. So let's actually start with something and then remove a few notes. Let's remember back just the closed 1-octave major scale, the full major scale. If we're going to do it in the key of G, it looks just like this. And when we put numbers to each one of those notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to your next one. Pentatonic scale simply doesn't play the 4 and the 7. It just plays the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 2, 3, skip the 4, 5, 6, 1. Okay, so that's your G major pentatonic scale, and because that's a closed position, you can move that wherever you want. So if we wanted to get a C minor or a C major pentatonic scale, what would we do? Well, we could just put that index finger on a C note wherever we want to go. There's one right here. There's one right here, right? As long as you've got a string beneath it, you can do it. Let's do it from here, the 5th fret on the G string. Or if we want to do it an octave higher, starting right here on the 3rd string, 3rd fret. Okay, cool. So let's begin to apply that in the key of G. And what we're wanting to practice is playing that scale, licks made from that scale, over both the G chord and the commonly gone to, in the key of G, E minor chord, or the 6 minor. Okay, so let's just start out. We'll expand the pattern here in a little bit, but let's just start out with this 1 octave pattern. And what you might want to start doing, and I'll just trade off with you, is we're going to just play up the scale and back down, just making music, just with the scale. We'll get into the licks here in a little bit. So let's try it. Let's start off just playing it over a G chord, and we're just going to make some basic music, playing the scale up and down. Okay, you can expand on that if you want, but I'll just trade off. I'll do it, and then I'll trade it off to you. Let's try.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You try it. Now you can try adding some rhythms. Can you do that? Now you could try, we could try actually like mixing up the notes a little bit or skipping notes. You try. That's kind of fun, huh? Let's try starting at the top and working our way down. Sounds like this. 1, 2, ready, go. Can you do something like that? Try it. Okay. Now we can get maybe a little bit more busy. Play some patterns, something like this. Can you try something like that? Okay, great. So maybe you need a little bit more practice with that, and you can just rewind this video. And if you're a Gold Pick member there on the site, I've got some jam track MP3s that you can download at various speeds that are fun to practice along with. Now, we've just jammed over that 1 octave pentatonic. Let's expand the position just a little bit. Let me give you a couple more notes to reach for. We've already reviewed, or we already covered this in my other pentatonic and unlocking the mandolin neck courses, but just to remind you that we can easily grab the 7th and 9th fret on that low G string to expand our range a little bit. So if we wanted to play that whole thing, and that allows us to get some really cool patterns going. Right? And you can start doing some harmonies if you want. So let's try improvising, doing the same thing, but adding that extra range. I'll try it first, I'll hand it off.
1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe you're starting to feel some things out there. Now, what I want you to remember is that whenever you're playing over that 1 chord with our major pentatonic, G major pentatonic, that what seems to be home base, and it makes sense, would be the G notes. Where are our root notes? Where are they? They're here and here, right? So whenever we're jamming over that one, we tend to want to end our licks and even start them sometimes on that one. We shouldn't do that all the time, but that's just where it sounds at home. Okay, so let me just, as an example, I'll play through a lick and land on the one, and then I'll give you an alternative and see what you think.
1, 2.
So landing
3,
on the one.
4.
Okay, now let me land somewhere else. Okay, so I landed that time. I ended on that E note. It's not the one, and it just left a little bit of tension, right? Like the lick wasn't home yet. Okay, that's because we're playing over a G chord, and that G chord wants to resolve back to a G note. But here's the really cool thing, that when we go to the relative minor, which is the E minor chord, that same pentatonic scale works. In fact, the same exact notes are referred to as the E minor pentatonic scale, all right? The only difference between the G major pentatonic scale and an E minor pentatonic scale is just what note it starts on, but it's the same note. So to illustrate that, here's the G major pentatonic scale as we've learned. The E minor pentatonic scale would just be starting one note beneath it on that E note. Remember I showed you down here? We could get some more range. Starting there and playing up through the same scale. E to E. So first G to G, and then E to E. But I didn't play any different notes. I just started them at different spots, right? Okay, that's pretty cool. So what I want to do now is I want us to practice jamming with the G chord, 4 bars of the G chord. Then we'll play 4 bars of the E minor chord. And I want to just explore this pentatonic scale using the same range that we've been doing and see how the chord change affects the notes that we choose to play, our note selection. And what I think we'll find is that whenever it goes to the E minor, we should be drawn more towards those E notes, okay? Don't have to. It's your choice. But, you know, the only difference, the point being, the Cliff's notes, is that we can use that same scale. It's just we have a different target note to make it sound. Is it an E minor pentatonic scale, an E minor lick, or is it a G lick? Where is it ending? Where is it starting sometimes? Let's try it. I'll demonstrate, and then you can have it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Your turn. Pretty cool, huh? Same notes. Very cool. All right, so that's pretty cool that we know, and no matter what key we're in, but here we just demonstrated it in G, that when we have the one chord and it goes to that 6 minor chord, that E minor chord, that we can stay right in that G major pentatonic scale. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, the G major pentatonic scale is going to apply to almost any chord that a song in G goes to, but that doesn't mean that we always do that. That would get old after a while. So we find ourselves weaving in between various licks and scales, even if we're not thinking scales, which I don't all the time. I'm thinking licks sometimes in melody, but I will tend to go out of that major pentatonic scale. But if I ever get lost, or if I'm ever going to, into a progression or a song that I'm not really familiar with, I can fall back on that pentatonic scale to play things that sound pretty. Okay. In our next little video segment, what I'd like to do is move on to a different key. Let's go to the key of C. That's going to require a different position And I'm going to show you how to get actually a 3-octave pentatonic scale, taking us from this C to this C to this C. Then we'll do it in the key of D. And then I wrote a song that takes us, it's actually a progression that probably exists somewhere in some song, weaves us in and out of G, C, and D, and all the relative minors. So that means E minor, A minor, B minor. Pretty cool. And we will, on the fly, switch pentatonic scales to match what we need to play. But that's for Gold Pick members. And if you're not a Gold Pick member, you need to come on board at banjobenclark.com. You can see the whole rest of this lesson, hundreds more. Download the Jam Track MP3s and many, many more benefits. I'd be honored to have you. Just go to joinbanjoben.com. You Gold Pick members, let's press on to the key of C and D. Look at A minor, B minor, and keep going. The sky's the limit.